Okay, we should be back here live with the final. Sorry about that. A little technical interruption here. OBS likes to crash, so let's go ahead and get back into the match. We only missed one turn, so that's good for us.
Legion Angel coming down. So the Massacre definitely being rebuilt from pretty fast by Arnie here. And again, I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again. This Luminarch Aspirant looks really bad.
But it was good in game 2. It won the game.
It did win the game in game 2. Yeah, now just, we're seeing that real widespread of various threats out of Arnie's deck. Spider Queen not looking bad here, but has some work to do.
What's going to minus how the Eye Tyrant comes in tapped. I mean, all these considered, like, you can double chump Legion Angels if you really wanted to. It puts more counters. It puts 2 more counters on Wolf. You can use the Blood Chief Thirst right now to kill the 2/2. I don't know. Me personally, I think maybe I would have double blocked the Legion Angel and then use the Blood Chief Thirst on the other Legion Angel, maybe. But there's also another Legion Angel coming, so maybe keeping Lolth alive for longer. Actually, you know what? Lolth being alive for Wedding Announcement hitting 3 is just the best case scenario, right?
Yeah, I love that Blood Chief Thirst. Just ensuring that the Chariot can't keep going super wide, can't keep getting value off of it. And now, Arnie's got to be aware of more massive removal spells also. So, like, playing this third Angel is a pretty big commitment. And you're totally correct. This announcement is about to flip. Want to have Spider Queen ready to make some tokens. Even if it's just, like, double chump the Angels, untap, chuck the Spider Queen for 2 tokens. Having 2/3/2 with Region play is pretty huge and will buy a lot of time. So single block on each, which I like a lot. This keeps Lolth alive. Best draw here might be a card like Deadly Dispute, able to sack a token and get another counter on Lolth. Like I said, all right, so Arnie holding back. Got to keep that last Angel as a insurance policy. Could have fired in the Hive of the Eye, or Cave of the Frost Dragon and killed the Lolth. Decided not to. And now Gothulu can just dump the hand. Just make spiders, play Aspirant, play Edgar. The spiders line up well against the Angels. And then maybe start trying to turn the corner here. Steal 2, which will draw off the announcement. Play Edgar. Didn't play Aspirant pre-combat, which I don't particularly like. Okay. So I think if Lolth is going to draw a card, you definitely want to do that before you do anything else. Maybe seeing if the Cave of the Frost Dragon would be going in for a block or not. Oh boy. And now I see Beseju on the wedding announcement. This is a disaster. Honestly, now that the Lolth didn't make the tokens, actually not that big of a disaster. And now the Aspirant being in hand is also a little better, because now the only out here is drawing another Massacre. So it's Massacre or bust for Gothulu here. Torment life on the line.
These players are locked in to getting their invite to the April qualifier, but this is for top 2 for the finals. For more money from CoolStuffInc.com, and for all the bragging rights you can ask for.
Oh boy.
This is 12 damage.
Yep.
It is 13 damage.
This is a lot. That is a lot. All right, and that is the game. All right. So, yeah, Arnie takes it down. Well played. No? Sorry, he's going to play it safe here and not go for lethal. Not going to risk getting, a vanishing verse to keep to keep Goat alive with the Lawlith in play. He's going to kill the Lawlith for sure. Get some damage. Way ahead on board. The only fear is it's exactly Meat Hook off the top. Things get a little sticky.
Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised that Arnie didn't go for lethal there, but it makes sense because Vanishing Verse is a very real card.
Yeah, so didn't draw it. Meat Hook here would have killed everything, given Goat Thula 4/4. There would still be a 5/5 Chariot in play, as well as a Planeswalker and an Angel in hand, so it would have been a pretty bad spot, but would have certainly opened the door a little bit. All right, gonna try and solve one of these many problems, but there is lethal on board, so backswing here is gonna do it.
See you later.
Are you gonna make as many triggers as possible before getting in here? Here come the clowns.
No, this is
it. Arnie on to the finals.
Yep. This is the time where you just make the last turn was the time where Arnie was like, let me make the best play possible, not necessarily the greedy play or anything. Let me make the best play, even if my opponent had a full hand, and then win the game the next turn because it's almost a lock if Meat Hook Massacre isn't drawn.
Yep. And there you go.
And Arne Huschenbeth makes it to the finals. Now we're going to do Nicholas Prieto against Berserksy. And what's good about this here is that we get to watch the entire match. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. You didn't think we time shifted matches here, did you?
I did not know.
We don't have this time shifted. They started late. We have this here. They made it in 1 minute before you would have got a game 1 loss. So here we are. We get to watch all 3 games if it makes it to that point and see who makes the finals from start to finish. Bud 90, which is Nicholas Prieto, Stream League 9 champion, against Berserksy that has a couple top 8s under his belt in Stream Leagues already.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun matchup, honestly. You know, mid-range deck with a few counter spells versus a control deck. I imagine a player chose to play and they weren't supposed to.
I'm confused, but it could have been a situation where, okay, I guess, yeah, it looks like someone took the play that they weren't supposed to.
So, of course, how top 8 works is the modified play draw rule where the higher seed has a choice of player draw rather than a die roll. So it gives you a little bit of extra edge for finishing higher in the Swiss, a little bit of bonus for having a better record in the Swiss. You know, occasionally you'll be 5-0 in the first seed, and the 8 seed's a 3-2. And so it gives you a little bit of an edge there, so you get a benefit for being a higher seed.
Yep, I was in the fortunate position to be in the top 8 yesterday, and since I got in 8th place, I had the draw the entire time. Well, I lost in top 8, so it didn't have to matter, but I would have had the best comeback story if I won. I'm sure that's happened before, where the 8th place has to be on the draw the entire time and ends up winning the tournament. And did that happen in your tournament, Jim? In the tournament that you were in, was that 8th place they won it? Being on the draw all the time?
Yeah,
it
was.
Yeah, he was 8th
Ely,
place,
right?
right?
I lost to Ely in the first round of top 8, and Ely won the whole event.
Yeah, so he did the true underdog route, right? And had to be on the draw the entire time.
Yeah,
so sometimes you could have the deck that wins the tournament. It had a couple bad matchups during the Swiss rounds, and your deck ends up winning the whole tournament. So we have a Deserted Beach here on the play for Bud here against Berserksy. We have Wedding Announcement and Kaido as our first play on turn 3. I don't really mind keeping a hand like this on the play, as turn 3 being the first action, but on the draw, I would probably ship this and wanting a play on turn 1 or 2.
I mean, there just aren't many turn 2 plays in this deck. There's 4 Luminarchs and 2 Adversaries. I think that, you know, Announcement and Kaido being the best 2. I'm pretty surprised to see Kaido over Announcement here, I'm not going to lie. Gonna make a Ninja.
I mean, it is guaranteed damage through the Smoldering Egg. Whereas Wedding Announcement like isn't guaranteed damage to Smoldering Egg. It's close.
Yeah, but
though,
you
I
don't
think.
really care about the damage. You care about just having an attacker to draw cards. And now the Kaido is much more vulnerable to like a burn spell. And like you're gonna draw a card next turn either way, and your announcement is online faster too. So a little surprised that's the announcement here, but we'll see how it plays out. No double block just yet because of the Hive death there. Also at the Hive, now you can play the 3-drop this turn and play Hive also. But get the old Kaido going here, see how it goes. Also, Berserksky missed a land off the iteration, which is devastating. Just devastating.
Wow, missing a land off iteration in like having a 2-land hand in Smoldering Egg backed up by iteration in the next turn, you're probably going to draw a land off the top in the first 2 draws, if not definitely draw a land off of Expressive Iteration. Not drawing a land off the top and not off Expressive Iteration is just a abomination. Second Expressive Iteration. If this doesn't get a land, then I don't even know. I don't know.
That would be just that's the bad beat story you hear between rounds. Kept a 2-lander, 2 iterations of both missed. Couldn't make my third land. There it is. Found a land.
Yeah, that's what you say after like losing round 3. You just run over to your friends afterwards, just complaining.
This
paper magic.
This game is I mean, we keep saying these mid-range decks snowball really well, and now we're starting to see that. Berserksky gave Bud 1 extra turn of to do whatever the hell they want, and now we're seeing we're gonna see Sorin, double planeswalkers. No.
Just going to go ahead and me-hook their own board to just prioritize getting rid of Smoldering Egg. What do you think of that?
Surprise. Could have played Sword and made a token or plussed it, had 2 planeswalkers going. There's Vanishing Verse, like you got other ways to kill up an egg. It's not like the egg's unkillable, and Berserksky's stuck on lands anyway. So even if Berserksky goes land 4-drop spell and flips it, like it's exactly Windfall into something else. It's like the worst case scenario. It's not that bad. But now no attacker for Kaido this turn. So Kaido's kind of stuck for a turn.
Outside of like Hive, but you don't really want to do that.
Yeah, I would not want to risk firing up the Hive here. So, all right, but gonna keep rolling along. Now no board. So a lot of that early advantage now that was being pressed is now kind of gone.
I think if I was gonna do the Meathook Massacre play, maybe I only attack with 1 creature. So I get to make the token after Meathook.
Yeah, that plays. Let's counter that. I mean, we see Aspirant here probably, but now Goldspan Dragon comes down. It can kill this Kaido, and there are some kill spells left, but I don't know. We'll see. 16 still a lot. If the early damage had put Berserksky down to like 8 or 7, sure, but
yeah, if we had not Meathooked and chose to leave that card alone, and we know that if they would have had the egg, they probably still leave up Saw It Coming, which would not have grown the egg.
Yeah, it has to be basically exactly draw a land, have Windfall, and then have a spell after that, which is a lot to ask.
I mean, Vanishing Verse on Goldspan Dragon seems good. Are there any copies of like some kind of protection spell in Berserksy's deck, like the white protection spell?
Nope, it's straight. Is it a couple Fading Hopes bounce it maybe, but
Probably Fading Hope bounces this here, but if Fading Hope bounces Goldspan Dragon, that's probably okay. It uses the entire treasure to use that for 1 mana. That's a Dragon's Fire.
Sure.
At this point, you just like go land, fire up the Hive, get in for 6.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, getting in for 2 is just crazy to me. I guess wanting to hold up the Agano for the second copy of Goldspan, because when they have 1 Goldspan, they always have 2, right?
Sure. I mean that is reasonable, but I just feel like you don't really want the game to go much longer, I don't think, against the whole Wrecker Horror, card draw, counterspell, control deck. So
with the second Hive, I am definitely jamming Hive. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see here. So now the 2/2 comes in, but like now there's 4 spells in hand for Berserksky. So does Bud want to wait on this Lolith or play it, or just leave up the Jono? I'm just gonna play the Lolith. And Deluge in response looks pretty good. There are no spell pierces in this deck, nor would they be effective if there was. Lawless makes tokens, and between the tokens and the hive, this should probably be enough for Bud to take down game 1 here.
I do like that the play here from Bud, if they're not going to use the hive, I like playing into turns where they would use a draw spell. Like, if you're like, okay, well, this turn, they're probably going to use Memory Deluge or some kind of other draw spell. If I think that, I'm jamming. Like, I'm jamming my hand. Because I want to make them not want to use that draw spell.
Yeah, I agree.
This could be, like,
to
almost
draw,
lethal.
not make spiders, which is pretty interesting.
It would definitely be lethal if he made the spider.
Yeah, like, I love having the mana up to kill Goldspan, which is super great. But I don't... The downside of spiders is there are 2 copies of Burn Down the House, 1 Crush the Weak, 1 Cinderclasm in the Izzet deck. Oh, and a Battle of Frost and Fire. There's actually a lot of sweepers, so I can buy that. I can buy that.
All right. Down to 4. If there is a sweeper, then Bud still wins this game with the hive.
Yep.
So honestly, do you just, like, play the Tainted Adversary because you don't care if they have a sweeper? If they sweep, they die. Right?
Yeah, nothing exiles or anything. Yeah, this is fine. Just cast it.
Like, Berserksea has to have exactly, like, sweep plus double bounce spell. Or, like,
yeah, I don't
sweep
think
plus 8.
Yeah, it has to be, like, I guess, exactly Burn Down the House. But, like, you have to bounce one of the tokens. You die to the hive anyway. Well, yeah, between Massacre and the creature lands, there's no way out here, I don't think.
You burn on the house and they fire up the hive, then you just bounce the hive?
Yeah, but the meetup triggers just kill you anyway, so...
Oh, that's true, that's true.
So, like, you're just not really... You don't really have an avenue.
There's, like, no real option here. Like, doing this just to, like, draw cards and concede.
Looking for an out.
I guess it has to be Crush the Weak to exile these. That could work. Crush the Weak plus, like, double bounce spell. Yeah.
All right. That's a start, I guess. So that's one piece.
Playing out this Tainted Adversary mattering a lot, actually. Doesn't get exiled.
An untapped land also allows for both hives to get in, too, so...
Draw a card from Wolf, draw an untapped land, attack with both hives. Let's go! What is it? Untapped land? It's an untapped land!
There it is.
Alright, so double bounce spell still saves Berserksea.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
And doesn't have them.
That it's funny because if it was double bounce spell, you couldn't replay the hive or to put a land. So
it would save him for a couple turns, actually.
Yeah, all right.
You could have seen a really quick turn if it was double bounce spell.
And now we see the benefit again of his blue splash. Disable, Stroke, and Negate are going to be very good here.
All right, so this deck just going into blue is so much better against Goldspan Dragon, against these decks. See how I was saying that in this field that the Goldspan Dragon deck would probably win because usually the Orzhov deck doesn't have the access of Disdainful Stroke and Negate, but because those cards are in the deck, it just makes this like a pretty bad matchup for the Izzet deck.
I don't know if it's necessarily bad.
It's not bad, but of course missing the land drop off of Expressive Iteration was...
Almost every other mid-range deck so far we've seen today has not had.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad matchup, but it's worse than the other mid-range decks for sure. It also doesn't help that you can Expressive Iteration and miss the land off 3 draws.
Yeah, obviously a lot of that game was predicated on Berserksea just like missing a third land drop because the snowball is allowed to roll so hard because Berserksea said, you know what, just have an extra turn, free time walk on me, and that's way too much to ask. So
yeah, Berserksea gave it to him. They had the land, just didn't play it because Berserksea was late to the match anyway. Wanted to throw him a bone. All right, going into game 2, Bud up a game. Bud's the beatdown, Berserksea's the control. Is Goldspan Dragon going to take this one?
After that first game, I don't think so. I think that the Magic gets a lot better post board for the mid-range deck with duresses and go blanks and crap like that. So it's gonna be an uphill battle for Berserksky here, although those hands pretty bad.
All right, this hand's got removal spells. It needs to be more proactive. This hand's much better.
Yeah, by a lot. By a lot. All right, Foretell, 2 Saw It Comings, 1 Behold the Multiverse, 2 Crush the Weeks. So there's a variety pack. It is a variety pack. Announcement looks great here. And then, of course, Wandering Ever plays really, really well with the counter spells, too, which is kind of nice. Wow. That resolving is huge. It's huge. Foretell again. Yeah, this is so good for Bud now because now Bud can just say go, attack, keep the Wedding Husband ball rolling, leave out Wandering Emperor and Disdainful Stroke. They cast Goldspan, stroke it. If they don't, Wandering Emperor, and then of course the announcement is just a 6-power clock eventually, so that's great too.
Yeah, I wonder how many copies of Spikefield Hazard is in Berserkzy's deck, or if at all, or also Jawari Disruptions. Being Is It and not Jeskai leaves it open to be playing more of those cards.
4 Spikefield Hazards.
Gotta deal with that Thalia. I think Spikefield Hazard might have been the reason why Berserksky was able to beat Mono White in the last round. In top 8, played against Mono White, which is probably the worst matchup ever for this Is It control deck. And maybe he drew a couple really timely Spikefield Hazards against Thalias and Elite Spellbinders.
I mean, with 4 Hazards main, 2 Cinderclasm main, 2 Eggs main, I think that the Is It deck might even be favored, honestly. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that is a lot of stuff. I guess he was prepared for Mono White, and 2 Mono White decks did make the top 8. All right, we see Wandering Emperor come down.
Also,
maybe he has Cinderclasm, so doesn't care about Emperor.
Didn't cast it, so risking a negate from the deck here. I mean, now I don't like this. I guess the announcement's gonna flip, so it'll be 3/3s in the next turn. But I think I would almost prefer going bigger on 1 creature
to get out of range of like going bigger on the 2/2, making it a 3/3 this turn puts it out of range at end step with the wedding festivity happening. Puts it out of range of Dragon's Fire with no dragon in hand.
Right, you just want to keep your things out of damage-based removal. There's only 2 Fading Hopes in this deck also. So there are already 1 bounce spell is already gone, and the Otawara is also in play too. So very little bounce left over. It's all just damage-based removal. I want to get 1 big creature going if I can.
We see a Saw It coming on the wedding announcement, which is fine. I think what Bud really cares about is this Legion Angel resolving, and then this Disdainful Stroke onto a Goldspan Dragon. We see the Dragon's Fire here hitting that one card I was talking about that you want to play around. It would be a 4/4 Vigilance token that does play around Dragon's Fire. But Dragon's Fire going
I think it's
for
usually a 4/4 is definitely better here, but this is a phenomenal spot for Bud. With the Stroke up and the Angel in the chamber, and then 6 damage coming across every turn. This is awesome.
Not only that, but if Bud doesn't have to use the Stroke here, Legion Angel plus Stroke next turn.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a nightmare for a Goldspan player, right? Like getting it to Disdainful Stroke.
Yep. And then now you fire the Angel because you have 4 of them anyway. So force the Sweeper here. And if it does happen, just fire more Angels. Just totally fine.
Can't quite double Angel next turn, but the following turn after that, we can double Angel. Burn down the house. That's fine because you did that knowing that already. Oh my gosh, that's
Nice
actually
draw.
really good. That plus land plus loot the other land away.
Yeah,
Like,
I think I would have cast Kaido first and looted first, but probably playing the Angel there regardless. So I make a token though, honestly.
yeah, token's good. Token's a 2 puts another body on in play just so you don't get your only pressure. If it's only Legion Angel, you'd only get that. You get that outed with like a Dragon's Fire with a gold span, and then all of a sudden you have no pressure. So I do like making the 1/1 there. Big Tainted Adversary.
That's a lot of power.
Land plus
That's a
Tainted
lot of
Adversary
power.
is a lot of power. So I think we see an attack first, and then if something gets messed with, we just go huge Tainted Adversary. See a Fading Hope, which is really good for Bud.
Yeah, that's the other Fading Hope. Still get to attack and draw off Kaido though, which is huge.
Like, honestly, if you Tainted Adversary, it even plays around Cinderclasm because of Wedding Festivity. Really strong.
Yeah, and the thing is that like Tainted Adversary is not a kicker. You play it has to resolve, and then you pay. So if it gets countered, just play another Angel, which is awesome too. Oh, I didn't have the land first.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we want to see so many zombies.
We would have seen so many zombies.
Would have been 4 3-power zombies.
Well, I mean, I guess one activation is still lethal, but
yeah, it's still pretty good. Still in a great spot here, no matter what. This deluge has got to be really, really good.
this deluge has to. I mean, this is probably the most lopsided I've seen, in a while.
Yeah, and we saw the stroke was huge, just totally huge.
7 mana available for Berserksy. Burn down the house, probably the best draw here. Probably, and that would wipe out the Kaido as well. No burn down the house going to main phase 2. Actually, could still have it, but checking for. Oh my gosh, this game's probably over. At this point right now, I'm just putting as much pressure on the board as possible. Make it so that they don't want to activate. Like, they want to activate Memory Deluge and barely escape death, but they're not going to. Attacking everything will force some kind of interaction since this is way more than lethal. Maybe Bud wanted. Maybe Bud
things considered, but whatever.
Maybe Bud didn't play the land on purpose, wanting to hold up some kind of interaction for a potential Goldspan Dragon, but I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, this is a pretty big swing here. Putting counter on adversary puts it out of burn down the house range, but I would be hard pressed to see.
That can't get disdainful stroked.
But it also can't do anything because you're just dead on the board in that
area. Yeah, dead on board. That's 9 damage.
All right.
And Nico Prieto makes the finals again.
I like this deck. I like it. I like it a lot. I obviously love me some Kaidos. And splashing blue in your mid-range deck is a tried and true tradition to win mid-range mirrors and control matchups. And there it is. Proof in the pudding.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Nico Prieto, playing against Arne Huschenbeth in the finals. Nico Prieto on Esper midrange, which I love. I love Kaido as a card, and I also love me some Legion Angel, Luminarch Aspirant, and removal spells and stuff. Really good stuff from Nico Prieto. Playing against Arne Huschenbeth, playing green-white tokens, an aggressively slanted deck that takes advantage of cards, some of the same cards that Nico Prieto takes advantage of, but just can go a little bit bigger with cards like Ren and 7.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I think this is a spot where the counter spells are gonna hurt the Esper deck a little bit. They can be good, obviously. Disable Stroke and Negate can be quite good against cards like Asika's Chariot, Wandering Emperor, and stuff. The problem is if the Selesnya deck is able to get out ahead and it becomes hard for the Esper deck to leave mana up for counter spells, the Esper deck end up falling really far behind. And cards like Kaido are good when you're ahead. They're not very good when you're behind. So a lot of pressure on Esper here to not fall behind. Wandering Emperors, Munich Massacres, Vanishing Verses, all good tools. If they fall behind, they're in big trouble. But if they're able to keep pace, they should be in really, really good shape.
I agree. Now, just waiting on Arne Huschenbeth and Nico Prieto to start their match. It's been a while since Green-White has been in a finals, I think. This deck is not a deck that you see all the time on the ladder. There's a lot of red black based decks going around. Um, there's a lot of white based aggressive decks going around. Of course, there's runes and there's the Naya humans deck that plays basically a mono white strategy with Halana and Elena. Not much Halana and Elena in this tournament though. Not we've seen like the Gruul werewolf slash Naya werewolf strategy kind of fall a little bit out of favor.
Yeah, these mid-range decks tend to be pretty good against creature decks. So Meat Massacres to the left, Skyclad Operations to the right. So they mop up pretty well. So I'm not surprised to see aggro have a bit of a bad day based on that. But yeah, definitely this Leslie deck is still aggressively slanted enough.
Who do you think has the upper hand here with Arne being able to go a little bit bigger on a card draw, but also the Esper deck has a lot of card draw as well. Is it going to come down to one of the timely disdainful strokes again?
I think that Arnie being on the play is huge. I think this is a big play draw swing. Kaido, Negate, Disdainful Stroke, all much better on the play. And because of how the matchup is going to line up, where, again, as I said, if Selesnya can get out of the gates quick and get really, really ahead, it can be hard for Esper to keep up. That's going to be a major factor. So being able to draw is pretty tough. I'm going to give the edge to Selesnya. The blue splash is good, but it's not going to be great here.
All right, we have no green mana for Arne here on the play. We have a Luminarch Aspirant on turn 2, chooses to mulligan into another no green hand.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's hard to go to 5 here. The hand's pretty good otherwise. Innkeeper into Chariot or Emperor. Yashar, not great here, but still card advantage. Still 4/4, draws 2 cards, so that's kind of cool. Interesting to see what kind of player Arnie is.
Is he a Seth Manfield?
What?
Is he a Seth Manfield? Does he keep?
Oh, Seth kept his hand like yesterday. Seth probably keeps the first hand, honestly. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of hand where you really get to see what kind of player a player is. In the finals, the first game of the finals, you're in your what's it called in the movie, the establishing shot of the finals, and your hand, you might never cast a spell. Basically, do you keep this hand? Is it right or wrong? And that's a tough thing to do. If you're playing round 1, yeah, keep whatever. If you lose, who cares? But losing game 1 of the finals is very, very tough. So a lot of pressure, taking a lot of time. I think I would keep this hand. There are, let's take a count. Take a count. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 green sources available. 15.
That's a little bit. That's like one more than I would think that would be in this deck with green on 2, right?
Yeah, and you draw 1, the hand's not only good, it's awesome. And then if you don't draw 1 for a while, maybe you can still cast the Emperor. There are still white cards to cast. Luminarch Aspirant, Wandering Emperor, Skyclave Apparition, Wedding Announcement. Like, if this hand doesn't draw green for 3 turns, but draws an announcement on turn 2, it's still a pretty hand. So, oh boy.
Oh boy. My God.
Goes to 5. And now we're keeping a 1-lander, so we're just off the deep end now. This is on the play. Oh my God, Arnie's probably screaming right now. Give me that 6-card hand back. It's funny. I wouldn't have kept this hand. I would have gone to 4. So maybe a little bit tilted here that they didn't keep the real close one and got max punished with an almost unplayable hand. And this is just gonna be this is tough. This is tough to watch.
It's okay. He'll spike the green off the top. Do we see a concede or we want one more draw?
I mean, the Orzhov deck isn't particularly fast, so I think a Kaido here might elicit a concession, but it's also pretty good. All right, well, better late than never, but never late is better.
I mean, if he doesn't draw that, he's like literally out of it, right? But this gives him at least a slight chance, and is one of those draws that it's like, yeah, you want to concede, but you're like, the game wants you to keep playing, but you're probably still losing. But I mean, if there's a land drop off the top here, maybe there's a chance.
Possible. But now, of course, those strokes and negates actually look really, really good, of course. So we'll see. Wandering Emperor. A lot of things are going to have to go right for Arnie to come back in this game. All right. I mean, kind of a bit of a strange play, honestly. Like the life gain doesn't matter that much. This takes off the Wandering Emperor and some other stuff.
I mean, that's a land. They're saying there's a chance. Luminarch Aspirant not played in main phase 1.
Yeah, a little oopsie there. Probably just thinking about what to play and just kind of absentmindedly went to second main, which usually wouldn't matter most of the time, but does matter for Aspirant.
Especially
this allows
since taking the 1 extra
Blood to
damage
attack
here.
for 2 and draw a card. Sorry, draw 2 cards. And there's definitely a stroke or negate in Bud's hand, for sure. How this game has played out so far.
I mean, that makes Yasharn like getting stroked even worse.
There's 2 negate and 1 stroke, and there's the stroke. So the singleton stroke. If there's a negate there, and the Yasharn resolves, maybe there's a path. Now it's more land drops. That gets you 2 of your cards back, you know. Maybe there's a path. But yeah, brutal game 1 for Arnie there. Brutal game 1.
I think if that's the negate, there's a chance that, yeah, like I said, there's a chance that Arnie just wins the game keeping a 1-lander, but I feel like before he even played the Yasharn, he was like, if this gets to Sample Stroked, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was 2 strokes, 1 negate, or 1 negate, 2 strokes from the deck list from memory. So looked over, and that makes it a lot worse too. So you mulligan, you skip out on a 6-card hand that was really close. You get absolutely punished with a 1-land 5-card hand, and your opponent draws the Case Disable Stroke. It's hard for a game Magic to go worse in the finals. So Arnie's going to have to buckle down here and really put his head down, get back in the game, and try and finish these last 2 games.
And there's a cool story on the line here, right? The only multiple-time Stream League winner, Elliott Dragon's out of the tournament. And Nico Prieto, which is Bud 90 here, already won the previous Stream League. He won Stream League 9. Is he going to win 2 in a row?
That'd be pretty sweet. Going back-to-back is pretty impressive.
Back-to-back's definitely impressive, especially playing against very, very talented players like Berserksy, Arne Huschenbeth, Seth Manfield, Zen Syed. They've played in this tournament before. There's a lot of very, very talented people that have played in this tournament. It is incredible to win 2 in a row.
Yep, crazy. Here we go. Bud's still sideboarding. I like how chat's got my back. They're like, Jim, the Rangers are up 2-0. You're doing good. Thanks, chat.
Good chat. Pet the chat. Wait, is there a pet the chat command? No. There's a pet the mods chat. Chat command.
Right. Now we got a hand.
All right.
This is the penance now for those terrible hands in game 1. This hand is phenomenal. It's Bud's turn to mulligan.
All right. Bud thinking about mulligans of his own potentially.
Down to 6. Not too bad. Could be worse.
It could be worse. I mean, we just found that out.
Yeah.
We found out how bad it can get. We have a Flame 4 Hedron on turn 2, leaving open the Chariot on turn 3. Now,
this is a good hand.
This is a good hand. Yeah, we go potentially white on this Branchloft pathway. Potentially green, but...
Interesting choice here is, do you want to play around a stroke? Obviously, casting announcement wouldn't play around a gate. There are no Jawaris and like that here. There's no soft counter spells, so can't really play around that.
I guess the argument for wedding announcement is getting it online faster, getting out of range of Meat Hook faster, growing your things, drawing Chariot out of range of Meat Hook for 2 in 2 turns, which is relevant.
My Chariot was on the stack 5 minutes ago, so this is your draw, right? You have a backup copy anyway. Turn 3 Chariot on the play. What more do you want? Just play your freaking Chariot. I don't like this. I don't like this. Arnie, too conservative, Arnie. Too conservative. Without a backup copy, I think I agree. But with 2 copies of Chariot ready to rock and roll, you just jam your cards. All right.
Not casting Chariot ever.
It's funny because this time I actually agree with the announcement. Because now that Bud has played a 3rd land and done nothing else either, and saying go again, that says much more to having a counterspell up and having a stroke or removal spells. So now I actually like playing announcement more, and you also draw off the announcement now too. So that one I liked, but now shields are down, and
shields are down. Do you leave up Guardian of Faith?
I don't think so.
Like this is could be just meat hook for 3 range. Meat hook for 2, meat hook for 3.
Yeah, I mean, I guess losing your Chariot tokens is like not ideal, but isn't that bad, you know? Like you also get two tokens here. It's fine. I think you want to attack though. I think you want to draw the cards off the announcements, not make tokens. Interesting. So this is a little weird. I think if you want to play Chariot and play around Massacre,
this meat hook.
Yeah, you want to.
Okay.
I think you want to attack with your creatures and turn the announcement into draws, not tokens, to play around it. But not punished here. And now this board is real wide, and now Guardian of Faith up is now the game is essentially over. We're going to a game 3, folks.
And also a Marius Call, and then it turns your tokens into 4/4s because of the other wedding festivity. But there's also meat hook for 4 that could come down next turn. So I don't even know if I agree with Marius Call. I think at this point I'm just holding up Guardian of Faith till the end of the game.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's been stroke every single turn for Bud. Every single turn. So I'm convinced that there's a stroke in Bud's hand. So no reason to play Marius Call here. Just crew up, attack, get things going, leave up your Guardian of Faith, leave up your Emperor. It's actually Emperor and Guardian of Faith up here.
Yep.
So
the shuffler definitely treating Arne right after betraying him in game 1.
Yeah.
Oh, and a Legion Angel? Sure.
Yeah.
Here we go. Meat Hook Massacre. Oh, that's the Skyclave.
Wow, it's kind of a bad hand for Bud here.
That's crazy.
I'm sure I should want to look at their.
You can crew the Chariot.
Here in the Discord. They have a stroke in their hand. Yep. And this is part of the problem. Like I was saying in the introduction, the counterspells are really bad when you're behind. This stroke was in hand. It was up every turn of the game. It never got cast, and it's just gonna die.
It's just gonna rot in the hand.
You know.
And I think that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, I figured this was gonna happen. Guardian of Faith is gonna happen. It's gonna. Yep, I knew this. I knew it. And then maybe Wandering.
Yeah, Emperor too. Yeah, sure. So that's one of the problems with the counterspells. You know, they're really bad when you're behind. Arnie's a good player. Arnie's gonna play around it and sniff it out. You know, I would have gotten my Chariot stroked on turn 2, I guess. But you know, it could have been negate or stroke at that point. You can't really know. And the negate obviously counters the announcement anyway. But once that turn passes and it's kind of clear what was had, Arnie played the rest of the game with the opponent's cards face up, basically. Game 3, looking for a big comeback. Now, of course, the problem for us is Bud is on the play now. The counterspells are better on the play. Kaido's better on the play. And we'll see if Arnie can have a hand that was that good once again.
Or maybe we just keep one lander and get there.
Yeah. Arnie had the unplayable hand and the really, really good hand. So we're looking for something in the middle this time.
What do you think? Do you think Bud's citing something else? Do you think he's like going out on the strokes? Like, okay, he's gonna know I had the disdainful stroke. Let's just board them out.
Possible. The thing is that like it can be really good. The problem is you just have to have something in play. If you just sit back on it forever, your opponent can just kind of work their way around it, play the wrong things at the wrong times, and just, so they are good. The question is how good.
They're a little bit less good when your opponent knows about them. Like on ladder, if someone's not expecting the disdainful stroke, you just blow your opponent out.
Or back to the uglies.
Oh,
back to the uglies.
I mean, you're on the draw. You have an additional shot at drawing a land or a 2-drop. I think I'm keeping that last hand.
Arnie's very conservative, clearly, but I don't hate the mulligan. It's really close. I agree on the draw. It's like literally any mana source, but this one's not great either. So
This is not good. You said you wanted something in the middle for this hand, not like bad again.
I mean, technically, it is in the middle between both those hands. Just saying. You know, one was awful, and one was great. This is somewhere in the middle. It's definitely closer to the awful range, but all right. So do the green source. Not gonna be able to curve out completely, but still pretty good here.
Wedding. We have a nice Skyclave for their wedding, and then get Arne's wedding going.
Yep. We can see Innkeeper into wedding next turn, maybe.
It's at least interesting that there's a wedding announcement mirror match in the finals. Card might be good.
We've seen a lot of that card today.
We have
seen a lot of that card today.
Another wedding
Speed of
announcement. Eat my next Skyclave apparition.
So now I can see Innkeeper Skyclave again. Just gonna hold the Innkeeper, it looks like.
I'd be inclined to just cast the Innkeeper. Like, even if they sweep here, Innkeeper's not doing much after a sweeper being in 1/1 anyway. But
yeah, this is a pretty good board to massacre. We would see Bud getting 2 3/3s. Just gonna pass the turn at 5 mana up. So now, again, this could be Wandering Emperor, but that's the only flashy card in the entire deck. It's not a counterspell. So it's Emperor or not. And then it could be counterspells or not. It could be counterspells, Emperor, or counterspells and Emperor. And then once Arnie passes passes the turn and the Emperor doesn't come down, you know it's only counterspell and vice versa and stuff. So interesting spot here. And then of course with Arnie's own Emperors, now there's a bit of play there too, where you can kind of just say go. Do they do anything? If they cast an Emperor, you cast your Emperor, and so on and so forth.
yeah, because if they cast Emperor, that means you cast yours in response. They can't negate or disable stroke that. They only have 5 mana.
Yep.
Very interesting spot to be in, and interested to know what Arne's thinking here. Innkeeper plus wedding announcement. Let's see if he attacks with these apparitions.
I doubt it. I think this is Arnie saying, if you had Massacre, you were casting it last turn.
Yeah.
I'm going in.
Or this is just Bud doing the little bait and hook.
Yeah, now, one interesting thing is that, like, if the Skyclaves go in, but if you're Arnie, you almost want one of the Skyclaves to die, even though it's not a good exchange. It just makes Massacre much less devastating later on, and you drop the announcement too.
Gosh,
so,
what is no? This is definitely 100% Wandering Emperor.
Well, it wasn't cast last turn, right?
Well, that's because nothing was attacking.
Yeah, but you can cast it, make a token or whatever, and just kind of get the thing going. You know, you can't just say go every turn with nothing going on. So
maybe there's also I don't want to cast this last turn because I want to wait till my Hive untaps and then cast Wandering Emperor with Counterspell up.
Reasonable.
All right, this is what 7 mana.
Yeah, we're getting into like a nitty-gritty game here now. So both players,
I mean, this is
hanging out.
In nitty-gritty, that's a really good top deck.
Yeah, that is pretty good. There are only 3 meat hooks in the Esper deck, but there is one Farewell.
All right, so
wow, gonna get a hold of Emperor and not play Aspirant, not draw a card of Vampire.
This Luminarch Aspirant kind of screams, I don't have meat hook once again.
Yeah, I think meat hook would have been cast literally any of these turns. So, although Arnie could also be bluffing the phasing creature here as well. So here's End Step Emperor. Let's see what's going on.
It's Disdainful Stroke, right? Wow.
I'm surprised.
This draws a card off the Vampire.
Draws a card off Vampire.
So what does Bud have then? If it's not Sweeper, it has to be Wandering Emperor.
And now this Welcoming Vampire is just drawing cards left and right. Yeah, this is interesting. This is very interesting. I'm very, very curious to see what's in Bud's hand.
It's Wandering Emperor or like block with Hive.
The magic of looking at Discord, it looks to be a pathway, and a castle. So 3 lands, one of which is a channel land for 4 damage. So not to spoil anything, but it is a pretty bad hand. There's your castle. and
Wow,
just two paths.
spoilers!
Of course,
You can't go into the other person's hand and look at it.
why not?
I know.
Well, I want to see what's going on.
I know. I'm kidding.
And of course, Arnie doesn't know that. So we were talking about playing on cards all game. Arnie has to do that as well. But this position's looking pretty good here. And of course, there are some big draws as well.
All right, this Wandering Emperor is going to probably be here for a while on this battlefield. If you're blocking the hive, it's just 2/2/2s. Put them in front of it, right? Well, I guess it's a 4/4.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a pretty good trade, right? You could also just let it go and then just use the other Emperor to kill it.
He's definitely thinking about that right now. At this point, Arne has done a little checklist and is ruling things out. Blocking with the apparitions to play around Meathook Massacre.
So this is just like removing the massacre disaster from the
equation, yeah.
The equation here, yeah, and then
because he's basically saying, let me put my things at 3 and 4 toughness. If you have Massacre, then you need to massacre your own board also. So I wouldn't be surprised if Luminarch Aspirant made this a 4/4.
Yeah, I agree. With First Strike also now can attack safely too.
With First Strike, a 4/4 First Strike into 2/3/3s isn't that good. I mean, it does trade with a 3/3, right? They just double block.
Yeah, this is still a pretty good exchange, I think, though, because of how low on resources Bud is.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm in the position of Andre right now, trading is like the best possible thing we can do because of how many resources there are on our side. So if we all keep trading, I'll have more cards than you and you'll have nothing.
Yeah, it would have been a great spot for a stroke, obviously, but not to be. Now the Angels are coming too.
Yeah, and great players like Arne, not to say that Bud's not great. Nico's a great player. It's the second time in the finals in a row. But they kind of have little check boxes in what they rule out and what your opponent could have. He checked for Disdainful Stroke, not Disdainful Stroke. Checked for Negate at the same time as Wandering Emperor, not Negate. Checked for Meat Hook, didn't have Meat Hook. So, like, what other option could it be? The only thing else it could be is all lands, right?
Yeah, it's you keep making those little tests, and there comes a point where you're just like, all right, I guess they actually have nothing. There are no more tests to have.
Yeah.
So.
At this point, he's just jamming his stuff because, like, Bud doesn't have anything. He's already checked the boxes off.
Yeah, Massacre here would still be pretty good, but not really good enough with the Chariot and the Planeswalker still in blood.
Like, best draw possible for Bud is just to draw... probably Farewell, but Farewell doesn't exile the Wandering Emperor, so Wandering Emperor makes a 2/2 again. Like, there's an Aspirant, like...
We got blood in the water here, folks.
We got blood in the water. Luminarch Aspirant gets to put some counters on stuff, get some things. I mean, everything's in Meat Hook range, so it doesn't really matter where you put the counters as long as you don't do really bad trades with Luminarch Aspirant, like attacking a 2/2 into it or something. But this is what he's going to do. He's going to get in for a lot of things. This is 6, 10, 16 damage total exactly, so must chump with Aspirant. Now it's left the card in hand for Bud and the card off the top.
Yeah, so it's just Massacre or Bust, and even then there's still Chariot and Emperor in play, and a Murray's Call, and Legion Angel, and another Emperor, and everything else. Spider Queen's great, but it is not good enough. Looks like Arnie's going to be our champion here unless something goes really, really wrong. And his internet goes out. Yeah, draw a card, count to 3, and that's it. Arnie's champion, and that's a huge amount of resolve there. All right, we all saw how bad that game 1 was. Terrible mulligans, terrible draws, didn't even play. The 1 copy Disdainful Stroke. Buckle down, win 2 and 3, a deserving champion.
Oh, for sure. Arne has been has practiced with pro players and has won himself. Has been doing a lot of great things for the Magic the Gathering community. Makes a lot of awesome decks, and is also the first ever Stream League. He's a first Stream League champion for him. He's played in a lot of Stream Leagues and has yet to win it, but this is his first win in Stream League number 10, sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com. Congratulations to him and everybody else that made the top 8 and for making this tournament possible and making this tournament a success and the continuing success that we hope that it is. Speaking of that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors of the tournament. Thank you all in Twitch chat for being here for us as well, and tuning in to the matches. But Jim Davis, thank you once again for hanging out with me today and for being the awesome commentator that you are. We are both sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, so make sure you check that out for 5% off of literally anything in the store. Also sponsored by Ultra Pro, the standard and safe storage. I use Ultra Pro for all of my things. You can also get Ultra Pro things at Cool Stuff. You can also get Ultra Sleeves. You can save on Ultra Sleeves by using code DGEN at checkout, and also typing !DGEN in the chat in order to see all the DGEN creators. Some of them even played in the tournament today. Other than that, you can play against your friends for money at tcgshowdown.com. And thank you so much to CoolStuffInc.com for providing $1,000 in CoolStuffInc.com store credit. MTG Melee for providing MTG Arena gems and working it out with Wizards to where we can get our top 4 players an invite into the New Capenna Championship qualifier event, skipping the line, not getting into and not having to get to top 1200 Mythic. Thanks you once again, Jim, and we will see you for the next Dream League next month. Dream League 11 coming next month. I don't know what day it is yet, but also we're going to be having a Patreon only, Twitch sub only, and YouTube member only tournament coming up next month as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you once again to everybody that made this a success, and we will see you next time. Congratulations one more time to Arne Huschenbeth, our Stream League 10 champion. Any last words, Jim?
No, it was a great event. Mid-range taking it down, definitely a mid-range dominated tournament. Arnie's great. I think that the Esper deck felt very, very good for the tournament, but just felt like it was a little behind the more aggressive stance of a Selesnya deck. And of course, Arnie played very, very well too. So great tournament. Great all around. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone for playing. And let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, all right. We'll be back next month, of course, for Stream League 11. We'll see you then. And as always, Goose Gang out. Let's go!